Here's a screencast on creating that line sheet or merchandise swag page for an 11 by 17 inch document. So it's 17 inches wide and 11 inches high, so it's a fairly large horizontal. The way you would begin, obviously you would have already gathered your images and prepped them. You should have 9 product images that make sense to your event, that make sense to your entire project. But what I'm going to deal with right now is just how to create the grid. I'm going to show you a really fast way of doing it. So what you want to do is you want to get on your page. You can see I've already got master page elements on this page that are locked down, and so we want to make sure we don't interfere with them, but they are pretty obscured at the edges of the page. I always pull down a guide from the top that allows me to remember mainly that above that guide might be where a headline or title of the page. In other words, for this it would be just something that tells the viewer this is kind of the store. This is the product that is available for sale. So I just start there. I'm going to also start with a rectangle frame by just going to the frame tool, by going to F. I'm going to manually pull out a box. Now remember, we've got quite a few products. We've got 9 to go, so that should be probably 3 rows of 3. So 3 rows of 3 plus 3 rows of 3 text boxes. So sometimes I just kind of put a box there and then think about it. And I happen to have some little basic text here that I'm going to just use as my placeholder text for the way this might work. And I'm not doing anything scientific. I'm just kind of seeing what might work. So I'm clicking those together. I'm just seeing what happens if I have 1, 2, 3. That's probably close. And then do I have enough room here? Pretty good. That was actually just a way to kind of think about it. I don't want you guys to necessarily use my measurements. And in fact, we haven't measured a thing here, but this box that I just pulled out randomly is about 3 by 2.5. I'm going to make it, just in case, I'm going to make it 2.75 inches wide and 2.5 inches tall. Now remember, this depends on what your products look like. If they're really long and skinny, you're going to have to figure out your own system. Now, because we're going to go 3 across, and there's going to be 3 rows, so in other words, 3 columns and 3 rows, plus the text, there's not enough room for the text to go underneath. This is too horizontal of a layout. So what I do is I just literally take a text box. If you don't have your text yet, which might be problematic. Let's say I don't have my text. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to cut it out and put it over here for now. If you don't have any text, you can always put a frame there. Go to Type and go to Fill with Placeholder Text. And that's going to kind of give you an idea. I usually take some of it out. It's not the best idea, but it's something you could do if you want to be really risky and just put in 1 word of text so that you know that's a text box. That's up to you. So I'm going to make this kind of the same height, though that might change. And notice I am not putting it where it's smack dab on top of the other of the image box, the image frame. I want to give it breathing room. That's what breathing room is. You want it still to associate to the picture, but you want to give it some nice white negative space here. The text box are less important in terms of the width. You can always adjust them later, but I'm going to just take these two boxes together. We have an image box and a text box. I'm going to go to Step and Repeat, Command Option U. And the fastest way I'm finding to do this is to, number one, first thing, just zero everything out, because gosh knows what it is. You want to click the preview button on. Now we're going to have 3 rows and 3 columns, which makes 9 products and 9 text boxes. For this one, let's do create as a grid so that we can do it all kind of in one fell swoop. And then this is the tricky part, is that you use one of these. You click on this is called a caret, and it's a little tiny triangle. And I'm going to start on the vertical. And I just click, 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 click. It's a little bit tedious, but you can actually hold down and just let it go. Don't go too far, because sometimes my computer, it tends to take a while to catch up to itself. And I'm going down. I'm going to go about there. I'm not going to go all the way to the pink margin. Notice I started on the left margin. So that seems fine to me. Now I'm going to work on the horizontal. So same thing. I'm going to click on the caret, which is the little triangle. It doesn't look like a carrot at all. It's a C-A-R-A-T. I don't know even why they're called that. And sometimes I go a little fast, and then I let the computer catch up. Your computers are probably a little faster than mine. Mine, it seems to be feeling its age. And it looks funny until you get over to what you want. And what you want is you want to make sure that nothing is overlapping. So this might or might not work. Like there. See, my computer's still working on it. So this is good. It's good to see it kind of working badly. Now I'm kind of just shrinking it back over. And at this point, I'm going to eyeball it. So I said don't overlap, but I think the text box doesn't need to be quite that wide. So I'm going to stop it right there. And I'm going to say okay. And then we've got a grid already built out. Now, the text boxes are overlapping, or kind of underlapping or overlapping the image boxes to the right. So what I'm going to do is, with my black arrow tool, I'm going to click on that row. And once you click on all 3 of these, so I've clicked. Now remember, when I've clicked on the text box, holding the shift key clicked on the next text box and the next box, it makes it one giant kind of selection. And I'm just going to go and pull it over a little bit to the right. I know I'm going to use the left alignment for my type, so I'm not worried about the edges of my text boxes, because I'm not going to put a stroke around them. So again, I selected all 3, I'm pulling them over, and I'm going to pull all these 3 and make them come over to the margin. And that is very quickly how I have made a grid. So now you would just place your images in here. I'm not going to bother with that. You guys all know how to do this. You just click on it, go to Command D. I don't even have mine handy, but you would put all these in. If you don't like these strokes, I made the strokes so that I could see what was going on. Remember, you can always select all of the text boxes at once. I'm holding the shift key and I'm rubber banding them. I can change to a different stroke, and remember, you only want to use your Pantone colors, and you can make it light. I'm going to keep it, actually, where are my Pantone colors? I'm going to go back to that pink. And if I put the W key on, that's what it looks like. And if I click it back on, let's say we've got our text. We've got an idea of our text. And this is just come in from off the internet. It's come in as Minion Pro 12 with an automatic leading. If you have a bunch of your text and it's one big list, what I would do is immediately start thinking about your font. I do not want you to use Minion Pro. If you're using Minion Pro, you're going to get points off because it's just what the computer puts in there automatically. I'm going to use Trebuchet. It's just because you guys can see it. There's a couple of different styles to Trebuchet. There's an italic, a bold, and a bold italic. I'm going to start with regular, at 12, and I think 12 is going to be too much for this little text of the description. I'm going to take it to 10, and maybe I'm going to change the leading to 14. Now I can change all this at any time, but sometimes I just like having everything at once. So here we go. I'm going to stick it right. I'm going to scrape over the word text, paste, and now I would start using my character styles. So if I wanted this to be bolder, maybe it actually is 12-point type. Will it fit? Okay. Maybe I want it to be pink. Maybe this I want to be italic. Actually, these can probably, I'm changing my mind. I think maybe everything can be 12. It depends on how much text you have. I want you to have kind of this amount. And I'm going to change this to see if I can, if you have really long names, you're just going to have to make decisions. Like that doesn't look so great. So I might change it back to 12. And these, maybe I change them to italic. And maybe this one goes to bold italic. And this one goes to maybe a little bit bigger, since you want people to see the price. And you definitely want them to see the, well, I just put in a subscriber price. So you guys don't have to have all this information, but you get the idea. This is, you want to sell things, so maybe we'll do bold italic, and maybe this color would be one of our Pantone colors. Notice I'm not picking any of the other ones, and I'm missing a Pantone color I'm going to have to add. And it's that kind of idea, and you would just put it in. If you don't remember how to do a character style, there's a whole video on it. I'll do one right here. If you've already figured this out and you want everything to be this way, you need to use your character styles to help. So you would go up to Window, to Styles, to Character Styles. And actually, I've already built some. So I can throw these away so that you guys can't see. Okay, okay, okay. All right, so we're starting from a new one. We're going to say that this one is going to be Pantone 3005. And so now I'm going to select it. I'm going to make a new character style by hitting the button at the bottom. I click on this, and up comes the character style options window. And it's got what I've got in there right now. I can always change the color if I want, and I can change it on the fly as well, but I'm going to stick to it. I'm looking at the font. I did go to Avenir, not to Trebuchet, so if I changed it to Trebuchet, which is here, that might be more of what I wanted, and I want to make the leading a little bit more. And I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to name that. Actually, that's going to be the product name. OK. This is going to be the item number, and I'm going to make all of this the same, just to make it easy for this. I'm going to click on the new button, double click on the, to get the character style options button on, and I'm going to call this the description. And I'm just going to look at it. It's italic. I'm going to make everything the same size. I'm going to make it 11-point. And character color, I'll make it Pantone 541, just so you can see. And then this one I've decided is too big. I'm going to make another one. Call this one the price. And I don't like how big that is at all. And maybe I'll just make it bold. And I could make this a pink color. I mean, obviously, you would decide this. And then, is there anything else? I don't usually use underline. Occasionally, you can actually make, if you want to make it all uppercase, you can use where it says case, you can change it. So let's say I want it all caps, and now maybe I really will make it smaller since it seems pretty obvious, and I'm going to say OK. And then let's say this was my next product copy, and I stuck it in here. I would just go in, grab it, go to product name, go, you know what the system is, description, price. And you do that for each one. Okay, I hope that helps. Don't forget you also have to put in kind of a title of your your line of goods. Call it whatever you want, but it needs to go up here. Remember to use the pink margins. Don't go too far over them. This would be your merchandise name or collection, and you want to kind of stick to what you've been using. I've been using this crazy font called Square Neil, and I'm going to make it big, and I will figure out how to style it later. Remember, use alignment. You want to use those text boxes to help you figure out where the center is, etc. And obviously you would colorize that. Okay, hope that helps. This is the quickie way of making a grid for your line sheet on the 17-inch wide by 11-inch page. Hope that helps.